I Need That Orb, the series which shows a cast of increasingly wacky characters compete in attempts at stealing or protecting the coveted orb. An instant classic which is infinitely quotable. Yet, when you look past the wacky and absurdist humor, a dark underbelly of secrets and horror unearths itself. Today I'll be tackling the Into Iceberg, made by the creator of Into themselves, Physiegg, who helped me with understanding a few of these entries. I'm not going to go into detail on what an iceberg is because it's pretty self-explanatory. The top of the iceberg contains more well-known information about the series, and as you go down, the information becomes more obscure and creepy spooky. With all of that said, grab yourself a snack and some orange juice, and let's get started. The Orb. The Orb is a mysterious object in Into lore that is highly coveted and shown to have immense power. It glows a bright blue and has a crossed eye symbol on it. Though probably uncanon, President Dogblob, the current owner of said orb, has said that the orb washes clothes. Olive and Ivan. Ivan and Olive are the protagonists of Into. Olive is an adventurous member of the bug-like species called Idophores, while Ivan is a more down-to-earth robot patched together with different pieces of scrap. Both Ivan and Olive are based on previous character designs that were made before Into. Semicolon. Semicolon the Witch is a deuteragonist introduced in the episode Refraction in Fraction. He acts unpredictably and has an affinity for cheese, as well as selling magical items in the wizard market and joining the cast on adventures from time to time. Physiegg has confirmed that Semicolon gets high on shrooms regularly. Rombo. Rombo is a deuteragonist introduced in the first episode of Into, and the best friend of Shiitake. He is heavily inspired by Lancer from Deltarune, taking the radical personality and egotism to its extreme. He regularly commits acts of terrorism. Rombo rules. Shiitake. Shiitake is a deuteragonist introduced alongside Rombo in Into's first episode. She is a member of the species Tonatruas, which were made by Bread and have existed before Into was created, and wears a jetpack. She has a talent for art and commits acts of terrorism alongside Rombo. Archprophet. Archprophet is a pacifist wizard introduced in the episode Refraction in Fraction. He sells skeletons holding fruits in the wizard market and accompanies the main cast in Semicolon from time to time. A previous incarnation of him existed much earlier than Into and is referenced by Archprophet at least once. Scarlet and Dreekus. Scarlet and Dreekus are the antagonists of Into. Scarlet resembles a puppet, and Dreekus is a Cyrasil, a species of wheel-propelled aliens introduced in the Cowboy story, created by Ego. They have a sort of daughter-grandfather relationship and use very comical methods to attempt stealing the orb. Delivery Pup. Delivery Pup, originally known as Puptown Citizen number 386, was introduced in the first episode of Into as a completely ad-libbed character. They were meant to never appear again, but have since become a staple of the series. Delivery Pup is often following around Scarlet and Dreekus and occasionally assisting them in schemes. They have a chill demeanor like all Puptown residents, and also completely disregard the basic laws of reality. Skeleton holding a banana. Skeleton holding a banana was a joke made in the first episode in which Ivan drops something after slipping on a banana that a skeleton is holding. Skeletons holding fruits occur all throughout the series. Fishing Frog. Fishing Frog Fergus is an old friend of Dreekus who enjoys fishing and hates his wife. He was originally a character from a Dungeons & Dragons campaign made by Physiegg that was based on the show Amphibia. Christmas art. In December 2022, Physiegg created an art piece based around various friends' original characters attempting to get the orb in various wacky ways. The Reboot. The Reboot refers to the currently work-in-progress rewrite of the series. It's an attempt by Physiegg to make Into a more cohesive and fun-to-read story. Into is post-apocalyptic. The events of Into take place very long after a war that wiped humanity off the planet, and the universe. Many references to this war can be found all over the series. Adventure Time parallels. Since Into is heavily inspired by the show Adventure Time, many parallels can be drawn. Ivan and Olive's relationship being similar to Finn and Jake, Dreekus being somewhat inspired by the Ice King, the wizard market being very similar to Wizard City, and the magic-filled post-apocalyptic setting are just a few. Nobody knows what the orb does. Although the orb is the main driving force of the series, it's been implied that no one actually knows what the orb does. The only character who has been 100% confirmed to not know what the orb does is Rombo. Rombo rules. Dr. Evile's Guide. Dr. Evile's Guide was teased as a sort of prequel to Into that never released. Not much is known about what was planned, however, we do know that Frank was to make an appearance, as well as his creator Larry. All humans are extinct. As mentioned before, Into takes place a long time after a war that wiped out all of humanity. So long, in fact, that most characters don't know what a human is. Dreekus Dementia. Dreekus has been alive for a long time due to the special magic juice he drinks, which has caused him to develop dementia. This becomes a major plot point later in the series. The Ancient Resource War. Supposedly the war that wiped out all humans in the universe. Frank said the humans were running out of resources and began fighting over them, leading them to construct doorways of some kind, which are explained later in the Iceberg. Walder and Frank know each other. In episode 6, at the very end of the episode, Frank mentions having talked to Walder before. This is the only mention of a possible connection between Walder and Frank, and cements that Walder has been around since the humans. Poorly Drawn Frog Origins. Poorly Drawn Frog is a joke character introduced in the episode Sleepover Nemesis. They were created because Fizzy Egg needed an impromptu transition and had nothing prepared for the scene. They are immediately killed and never appear again. Ivan's Travel Guide. Ivan's Travel Guide was planned to be a tour guide written by Ivan in the same vein as Journal 3 from Gravity Falls. It is not being worked on as of now, but could possibly return sometime in the future. Garfield. Garfield is referenced several times throughout the series, Ivan being a huge collector of Garfield merchandise, and even Scarlet using a Garfield comic to come up with a scheme. Despite this, it seems no one actually knows what Garfield is. Craggy's True Power. In episode 8, Craggy and the other rock creatures are shown to have some direct connection to the magic residue, shown by their bodies leaking it when they are hurt. This could mean that they have hidden magical capabilities. Delivery Pup was entirely improv. As mentioned earlier in the Iceberg, Delivery Pup was completely improv in their first appearance and was not planned to reoccur in the series. Unfinished Glumbo art. There is an unfinished sprite of Glumbo when he gets juiced up that Fizzy Egg has shown on art streams before. There are plans to rework it and use it in the future. Ivan owns Brian's skull. Brian is a character from the Cowboy Story, written by Ego, who is infamous for being obsessed with women. Since Ivan likes to collect human memorabilia, it is possible that he could have Brian's skull in his collection, but it hasn't been confirmed. Doorways. In episode 6, Frank mentions something about the humans building doorways and meeting Mr. Moon in a deactivated one. What the purpose of these doorways was and where they lead is unknown. Why bagels? In Puptown, bagels are the only food source you can find. It's never explained why this is. They also grow on trees. Double Dog. Double Dog was a character created on an art stream by taking a random sprite of a dog, cutting it in half, and putting the two front halves together. Although they haven't appeared yet, it's been confirmed that they will appear in the reboot and are even getting an all-new design. Their catchphrases include, "I double dog dare you," and "It's time to double down." Rombo's Origins. Rombo's origins are near a complete mystery, having been one of the only characters in Into not based on a previously created species. An entry in Trickster's series, the Copperseed Catalog, regarding a species called the Shape People, has been endorsed as canon to Into and shows a little bit of the society that Rombo comes from. Scarlet has a creator. Scarlet being a puppet implies that she's artificial and could have been created by someone. What happened to the Tonatruas? In Bread's lore, Tonatrua are hive-based creatures, so it's quite strange that shiitake would be completely on their own. This could imply that the Tonatrua species has declined, but it's never directly stated. Blue siblings are canon. The Lou siblings are a group created by Bread consisting of Thistle, Azalea, and Lavender. Physiegg has said that they are canon to Into, but have been long dead. Biblical connections. Mr. Moon occasionally makes reference to biblical allegories, Frank mentions talk of heaven when referring to ancient humans, and Gaziel's design is heavily based on biblically accurate angels. Derek the Awesome. Derek the Awesome was a drafted drawing for what would eventually become Semicolon. He's freaking awesome. Old Amoeb design. Amoeb was one of the characters originally teased to be a part of Into, however, they were cut before they could make an official appearance. They are planned to make a reappearance in the reboot with a completely new design. Scrapped Uncle Grandpa crossover. It isn't scrapped anymore. It's real. And it's coming. Dog Blob's cousin. At some point, Dog Blob makes mention of lending the orb to their cousin. This cousin is never seen and implies that Dog Blob has an extended family. Into Babies. Into Babies is an incredibly elaborate joke made by Physiegg and a few friends. The idea is if Into was a Disney Channel show getting a reboot in the vein of a show like Total Drama-Rama, where all of the characters are now babies. Promotional material included Rombo introducing you to the Disney Channel. The characters themselves were incredibly flanderized, and the first episode included a humanized version of Scarlet stealing a toy from Olive when they weren't looking. The rest of the episode's runtime is a blank screen due to Rombo being cut from the show for saying every slur in the book. Rombo rules. Wraiths. Wraiths are creatures that are implied to be humans corrupted by the blue residue magic. Swapping places refers to their ability to sap the life force out of other creatures through touch, turning them into wraiths and returning the wraith back to a human. Proven is a human. Proven has slight human features, but other than that I'm not sure there are any indications she might be human. Miss L scrapped from lore. Miss L was Physiegg's previous persona, and was originally planned to make an appearance in Into. She was scrapped very early on. Nobody survives the Walder beam wasn't an actual line. When Walder was first introduced in the series, the line, "No one survives a Walder beam," was quoted by people from the episode, even being quoted by Physiegg themselves. However, this line does not actually appear anywhere in the series, and its origin is a complete mystery as even the creator believed they wrote it. The Librarian. Absolutely no information exists on this character. However, Physiegg has teased they may appear in the reboot. Who is Alma? Every episode of Into before the reboot would include an introduction from an Anomalocaris named Alma, directly addressing the audience. She is implied to have a very significant connection with the orb. Where was Dreekus during the cowboy story? Dreekus is a Cyrasil, and references fighting in the War of Aleophadia, a significant event in the cowboy story. Egress. Egress was another character originally teased to make an appearance, but ended up on the cutting room floor. Next to nothing is known about them. Due to their obvious lore-baity looks, jokes have been made about adding them into the reboot as a normal character with no lore relevance or greater purpose. No longer takes place on Pheon. The original setting of Into was a planet called Pheon 227N. This has since been changed to a place called Balazar, a planet in the cowboy story. Why are the Idaphors bipedal? In the Into reboot, Idaphors have been remade to become completely bipedal. This was done in order to make them more expressive and give them more varied designs. Mr. Moon is Prometheus. Prometheus was a Greek god who was punished for giving fire to humans. Now, this is pure speculation, but I believe this has something to do with the doorways that Frank mentions. Maybe Mr. Moon gave the orb to humans? We know that he likes to make chaos, so it's possible he started the war for fun. Again, pure speculation. 711. 711 is a number that appears on the original character reveal art sheet for Into. Egress, Walder, and Fishing Frog Fergus have this number on their sprite. As of now, it is unclear if this number has any relevance or if its meaning has been scrapped. AI-generated character. An AI art generator was told to generate an Into character, and Physieg has stated that they will make a cameo appearance in the series. We love Nathaniel. Shathid will be canon. I'm nearly 100% certain this is a joke entry, but here's Shathid anyway because he's funny. Thistle caused Into. Also nearly certain this is a joke. Then again, it would make sense if Thistle caused the resource war. Walder's true origins. Walder has been hinted to have been raised by the first wizards, and has been around since the human era. Out of universe, Walder originated from a Minecraft world in which he was contained in an inescapable chamber, and yet somehow disappeared. The orb created the pups. Not much evidence for this one, but it could be theorized that the orb is in Puptown because the orb created Puptown and all its residents. This could also explain the anomalous properties of pups. Scrapped Halloween Christmas specials. There are 2 scrapped holiday specials for Into. The first one is a Halloween special, which we know would have involved mimics of some kind. The second one we know much more about, which is a Christmas special involving the plot of Scarlet writing a letter to Santa asking for the orb for Christmas. Santa would then try to retrieve the orb, causing Ivan to kill him, and then hide his murder from Dog Blob and Olive. Multiple wars. Not sure what this could mean, but it could be the implication that the ruins we see are the result of many different wars rather than one war that wiped out the humans. Mr. Moon is Larry's soul. Mr. Moon first appeared when he jumps out of a human corpse around the area where Frank thought Larry would be. One could make the inference that this means Mr. Moon is Larry, but personally, I don't think the lore lines up with that. Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is a biblical story where humans attempt to build a tower to reach the heavens. Their pride causes God to get angry, splitting them into different languages and scattering them across the world. While there aren't any direct references to this story in Into, some theories suggest that some of the species we see are humans mutated by the orb, or even evolved from humans, both of which come later in the Iceberg. Norm is still alive. Jokes have been made that one of Physieg's other characters, Norm, is still alive during the events of Into due to him being completely ignored when the war was happening. Pretty certain this one isn't canon. Rhonda is fake. Rhonda was an Idafor who was friends with Olive and shows up in the flashback sequence of episode 4. I guess this implies that Olive lied about her existing? I think this is a joke entry. Scrapped third wizard. The idea of a third wizard was thrown around during brainstorming for the reboot. One of these concepts was to be a muscle wizard who is obsessed with bodybuilding and has a surfer dude personality. They were ultimately scrapped. Uptown Catastrophe. One of the earlier Into theories revolved around the pups in Puptown being mutated humans, disfigured by the orb. Also interestingly, there is a nuclear bomb by the tower in the Christmas art, seemingly unrelated to any character submission. Poorly drawn frog is intentional. On multiple occasions, Physieg has stated that poorly drawn frog carries much larger lore implications than it seems. Anytime they are asked about this, they insist it's true. It's driving me crazy, and I'm genuinely scared of this small, devilish creature. Into is much farther into the future. Since there is no specified time frame for Into, it's possible the series could occur millions of years in the future. Human survivors. There is a possibility that some humans have survived the war and are still hiding somewhere in the universe, waiting to be found. The orb is anti-memetic. This theory states that the orb has anti-memetic properties. Anti-memetic meaning that the object censors itself so people can't perceive or think about it. This could give an explanation for why everyone needs it, but can't say what it does or why they need it. Hourglass-shaped cosmology. Hourglass-shaped cosmology is the idea that Into's universe is shaped like an hourglass. I'm honestly not sure what this means in the grand scheme of things, but it is cool nonetheless. The humans were trying to escape. The natural conclusion from why the war started was humans fighting over having the orb, right? But what if that wasn't the reason? Maybe they were trying to destroy it, or run from it. Maybe the orb is far more malicious than we give it credit. Evolution theory. Evolution theory can be applied to all sorts of things, from the iodophores evolving bipedally to different creatures having their biology affected by the orb. It can also be used to support the theory that certain species we see are remnants of evolved humans. Ivan is homophobic. Ivan has said many homophobic things and is very openly anti-gay. Need I say more? Five Nights at Freddy's book series is canon. It's real. Is Mario canon? Hell yeah. Well, if you made it this far in the video, why are you here? How did you get here? No, don't subscribe. Get away from me. How the hell did you find this? I don't know you. This was meant for like 4 people. Get away from me. Get out of my house.